live stream of editing. It's a new project I'm doing for Live to Tape. It's I don't have a name for the project yet, but it's going to be something like the Sunday Drive or something like that. So here we go. We're going to begin with the project. And we're going to add the media. And then add the sensor bar. And so then what we're going to do for the first thing is we're just going to watch the video, and as we watch it, I'm going to be clipping out wherever there's a car that goes past. This is time-lapse, kind of a time-lapse photography video. It's video, recorded as video, but I edit it as though it was a time-lapse. So doing that, I have control over the speed. And so it's kind of like when you watch in the movies and they do like slow motion and then go from regular speed to slow motion and back to regular speed. Editing it like that, I have control over the speed multiplier, so how fast it goes. But instead of going to slow motion and not, what I do is I animate from like multiples down to real time. So it will go like 2 times real speed, 3 times real speed, up to like 8 times the normal real time speed. And then when there's something interesting, I'll actually go back and I'll animate it down so it goes closer to real time. And so that way you have longer to watch the more interesting landscapes. So this won't do. There we go. So here we go. I'm going to try that again. So we're just going to watch and see any cars that go through, and then kind of mark where that point is. I don't really do semis and the larger trucks so much because for whatever reason, every time I pass them in the car, it's really difficult to see their license plate, or it's not defined well. So they kind of like self-censor themselves, which is pretty nice because there were a lot of semis when I did this drive. The day has been today has been weird. I've been battling some kind of sickness, and I thought I was almost done with it, but then last night I got this major headache. It's not like a normal headache, it's more like we're about to pass this car, so I'm gonna cut it out. And it was like, a sickness when you have a fever, a headache that you get when you have like a fever or something. So that was like not nice. And it was just like, it was immediate. It was just like all of a sudden it was really painful. So then I thought, oh no, well maybe the worst of it will happen while I'm asleep. But no, when I woke up I felt pretty ill. And it kind of worked out because I have a job gardening, and today it's raining, so I didn't have to go do that. But I still had a lot of work I had to do. I had to study for my class. I have the advanced C++ class, and we're having the final tomorrow. And so I've been studying a little bit, but I actually spent the time to sit down and just reread everything I had a question on. And what's nice is the teacher gave us a study guide And so I was using that. And it took like 50 minutes to go through the study guide. I mean, not to understand, like I understood most of it, but it was like 50 minutes just going through it, like reading the questions and the answers and everything. So that took a long time. And I emailed kind of the head of the department, but I still haven't heard back. I'm supposed to there was like a question like I might be able to do one of the classes I need. There's only one class that I need to graduate, and I might be able to do that in spring semester. And which has me kind of nervous. The class, it's an advanced programming class, but it's not easy, but it's not hard. I mean, I was more worried about advanced C than this other class. And so kind of the part that has me worried is one, it's spring semester. So it's only 2 months, the whole semester. And so we had to do everything we do in a 4-month semester in 2 months, which is fine. I've done it before. And since it's only going to be one class, one online class, that will be easier. And so that part's something I'm worried about. But then they have to do a degree audit. And so when I went last semester to talk to my counselor, they were like, oh, you only need the one class, the one that they might let me do over spring. And I mean, it was true. And so then when I checked this time, they added another class that's required for the degree. And so that has me worried. Usually what they do is if you declared your degree, like let's say last year, then the requirements for the degree is just what the requirements were last year, even if they changed it. And so like knowing that, it would be like, yeah, don't worry. But the problem I have is I have been trying to change my degree from computer information systems to application developer since 2015. And every time I go see the counselor, they check it and it's like, it says your information systems. And it's like, no, that's not right. So then the counselor goes through the system and changes it. And then the next semester when I go back, it's always changed back. So there's some problem with my class account, I guess. The transcripts. But so that's like not good, because if it happened again this time, then I would still be required to take 2 extra classes. And the reason why they're letting me do the spring semester is because it should be my last class that I need. So if I have 2 classes that I need, then I don't get to do the program, and then I have to wait another year to graduate. And then kind of the third thing that has me worried is I'm going to be traveling for a considerable part of May. So if I do get the class, and then I have to figure out how I'm going to do my homework and stuff, like on the road. And I think I have a solution, because I'm only going to be traveling in May. And so what I'm going to do is on my laptop, I have a Mac, but I have VirtualBox installed. And what I'm going to do is create a virtual machine with Windows with Windows 8, and then I will install Visual Studio, and I'm not going to activate it. I'm just going to kind of do the trial period, and so that's for 30 days, and so then I'll be able to do all my work on the road and everything without my desktop. Because right now I do all my programming and schoolwork on my desktop, which is Windows. And I used to have a boot camp, which is what Mac calls their dual boot system, but I removed it because I ran out of hard drive space and I didn't use the Windows version so much on the Mac. So we're getting to the end of the clip, and there's going to be a lot of stuff to censor out, a little bit more than there was on the last video. It was kind of a light video for removing license plates, but we will, what is the word? We'll see. So that's kind of what has me worried. And so the irony is, like, I'm not worried at all for this final exam. I'm in the advanced C++ class because I'm doing really well, and I'm at the point where, like, I could do, not terrible, but I could, just get by on the final exam and I'd still have a high score with all the homework and everything. So the test is happening tomorrow, and hopefully I hear back from the department person, because my C++ teacher is the one who asked me to inquire, so I want to have an answer for him at least as to whether I'm doing it or not. But if I don't get a response by the end of the day, I'll email again. So here comes the animating part. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with this part. I mean, like, I enjoy animating, but sometimes it gets annoying when there's a ton of it to do. And so then the things I was doing today was, one, I was studying, and then two, I had a lot of files I had to, like, convert and everything. So I was doing that, and then I had to set up the environment for the next episode of Project Newfoundland to come out. Right now on Patreon, episode 3 is out, and so at the beginning of next month, the 1st of May, the episode 4 comes out, and then when that happens, episode 3 will come out publicly on the Fotation YouTube channel and the Fotation website. And you can see that in the store, which is fotationstore.com. It's just PHOTATION and then store.com. And so that's something I have to work on. And then the reason why I didn't stream last night was because I was editing the live to tape episode, and that one's also coming to Patreon on May 1st. And then the way live to tape works is usually it will come publicly on the first Monday after the 10th. So, like if Monday falls on the 10th in May, then it will come out that day. But if Monday is like the 9th, then it waits till the next Monday to come out. And that's just so there's more kind of exclusivity for the Patreon supporters. This is taking a little bit longer because I have to go frame by frame. So here's the next car. I'm going to go through and edit that. But editing it's story time that I'm editing last night for live to tape. And it was audio. And so May's month is going to be the story of Alibaba. And that was a long one. It took me maybe 5 hours to write. Usually it takes me 3 hours, and it was like 5,000 words, so it ended up being to record the whole script. It took an hour of just straight recording, and then once it was all edited down, it was about like 30 minutes, kind of on the dot of narration, but I'm happy with it. And so that's what I was gonna do this morning, was I was gonna set it up so that it renders that while I'm streaming this, but I have to do Project Newfoundland first, because I have to write the script for episode 4, and so I need that done so I know exactly how long the episode's gonna be. And kind of a good rule of thumb is every 150 words is a minute if you read it out loud. And kind of not read it like slow, but if you read it naturally, about every 150 words you write will be a minute on screen time. And that's if you're writing in kind of manuscript form, which is what I'm doing. Not manuscript form, but I write it just kind of really in like MLA format. But if you write it as though it was a script, then each page on a script is about a minute of screen time. That's if you're writing on script form, which I don't have to do because it's just straight narration. I was having a hard time deciding what size I wanted. And I have to frame it a little bit bigger because this video is recorded with 2 cameras. It's a stereoscopic video. So right now I'm editing the left eye, but then I'll go and I'll edit the right eye. And so what I do is I take the left eye edit and I just swap out the footage with the right eye, and so the program doesn't know, and when it's framed a little bit bigger I don't have to reanimate the whole thing. I can just move it. I can actually move the animation, just slide it over slightly to the left or left to the right depending on which camera I'm switching to, and then it will be perfectly lined up. And so if I frame it a little bit bigger, it makes that process a little bit more accurate and easier. So like this will take me maybe 30 minutes to do, but reanimating for the right eye will take less time. It will take like maybe 10 minutes or 8 minutes. It's a lot, considerably less. So I'm just going and blocking out all the license plates. And the reason why I can do this like live is because I'm editing with placeholder media. So it's a little lower quality than standard def. And that just means it takes less processing power to animate, which lets me do it live. And then I don't have to, because it's lower quality than standard def, you can't actually read the license plates right now, which is the only reason why I'm doing it this way. But when I submit it to render, it will use the full resolution video files, which are, it's 1080p video files, and they're at with the time lapse and everything applied, it's about 40 megabits. 40 megabits per second. That's the video bit rate. And so HD Blu-ray is 30 megabits. That's the limit. So it's, the final quality is a lot higher than Blu-ray. And so, like, viewing it from the disc versus viewing it from streaming, it's a lot different. And so I am going to make a Blu-ray edition of Storytime, and hopefully be able to kind of get those out to the public. The main problem is I don't know how I'm going to create a 3D Blu-ray, because 3D never took off for the consumer or the prosumer. It was really only like professional cinema that really got the software to create 3D Blu-rays. So if I wanted to like buy a program that would allow me to burn my own discs, it would cost like more than $10,000. And it's just, I can't afford that for like a Blu-ray that I would only sell like 5 or 6 copies for. And so it doesn't make sense. So for the 3D version, I might have to like subcontract out to another company who has the software, because there are several companies that will do it for you. But I have to see, and I have to experiment with the 3D Blu-rays. My sister has the Harry Potter. It's like the collector's edition. So I went up. I was looking at it, and then I went up to her and I was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" It came with the DVDs, the Blu-rays, and then the movies that they had in 3D. It came with those Blu-rays. And I was like, "Why didn't you tell me you had the 3D Blu-rays?" Because she knows I like that. And she was like, I didn't really notice, and I was like, oh, okay. And then, so it's on my list. I'm gonna kind of test out actual 3D Blu-rays. And so I'm not sure what plays them. I'm not sure if the Xbox One plays 3D video, but I know the PlayStation 3 does. So I know it will work on that. Just going through and finishing it off. Again, because it's moving so much faster, this time lapse, it's a little harder to animate because I have to go closer to frame by frame. Like at the most, I go 2 frames at a time. With slower movement, it's easier because I can go like 5 frames at a time. So it just ends up being less work. But with this faster stuff, it's a little harder. But the good news is, even though I have to go frame by frame, the amount of time I have to animate over is a lot shorter. Okay, that one's done. See, like this one, it's really short. Oh no, that would have been disastrous. Okay, here we go. Do 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 do. I'm just gonna animate over this, and then kind of the schedule. Earlier today, I streamed the Let's Play of the Mass Effect Let's Play. So episode 8 came out earlier today, and then after this, pretty much immediately after I finish, I'm gonna stream the Mass Effect kind of marathon. It's not gonna be episodes 1 through 8. It's gonna be episodes 3 through 8. So that will be streaming for like the rest of the night. And all the Let's Plays are about 2 hours long. So it will go into deep into the night. It should finish around like 4 in the morning. So if you want to stay up forever, you can watch that. Or if you get a case of the insomnia, you can watch it then. Okay. So, almost done. Okay, I'm going to take a short break. I'll be right back. I'll let you guys kind of watch this from the beginning, and I'll be right back. Okay. Because I'm feeling sick, I've been drinking a ton more water. Oh my goodness. You guys, did you see that? Did you see that? We missed one. I can't believe it. How'd you guys let me do that? Oh, yeah, I totally skipped over it. I assumed it was just the end of the clip. You have this Corvette. It's so nice that now that the sun is out and spring really transformed and very quickly. 2 weeks ago it was snowing and then it was like hailing. Like last Thursday. So that was like, the weather was terrible. And so it's really surprising that, this isn't a Corvette, this is a Z3, I think. No, it might be a Corvette, I don't know. Just go through and remove this person's license plate. And so now that, really over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, the sun really came out and it was like 50 degrees. So it was like really warm. I wasn't used to it. I was like frying. I went to see a modern dance and I brought a really light jacket and I was still overheating. And then, the dance on Sunday was good. I went for the pre-talk. That's where they have like the cast members and some of the creative directors. They come and they talk to the audience, and everyone can ask a question. And there was this one guy, and he was like a lot older, and it's funny because he was kind of stereotypical, but he kept raising his hand, and then he'd get grumpy when they called somebody else. But he was like way off to the side, and so they couldn't really see him. But they finally called on him after he was getting kind of huffy, and he saw that there was this kid, and he was like, "Oh, take her question first," which I thought, "Oh, that's nice." But then they went back to him after she asked her question, and he was like, "Oh, I hate how, these people that make art add like political meanings to it, and I don't want to come to see art that has any political or the artist's political kind of identity or thoughts." And she's like, it was like, it's one of those talking points that you hear a lot these days of like, "Oh, I didn't come here to get lectured," or things like that. But that's kind of what art is. It's rare that something that's made for artistic purpose isn't political or some kind of statement of some sort. And so it was like, wow, that guy kind of missed the boat. But and so he wasn't exactly saying that for this ballet performance, but they were talking about before he asked his question. They said like, not the director, but the kind of the creator of all the choreographer of all the dance pieces. He never really says what the meaning of the dance is because he wants everyone else to discover it and come to their own opinions, which is kind of what they train you to do as a director. Like, they don't want you to tell what the director's intent is publicly. They want like the viewers to come to that conclusion on their own, and a lot of times it can be like way off from what the director intended, but it's usually best to let the audience kind of decide. And you don't want to like sway them or spoil the movie for them, so that's kind of the reason why a lot of directors and choreographers will not tell you what their vision was when they created it. And so after they said that, this older guy was like, thank goodness, I don't want to be told anything politically. I'm tired of it in the media and all of these movies and everything. And I was just like, really? I guess he was kind of sensitive to that. And then again, these clips are unusually short. They're about, like this one's not even 5 minutes. The regular clips that I do for live to tape, the time lapses are around 8 to 12 minutes long. And so we're actually, with this clip, we're exactly at the halfway point. So we're going to animate over this Subaru. And so far this stream has been, it's more work than the other one, but I feel better about it. I'm kind of learning how to do live streaming still, in terms of like when to schedule things. So I think I'm more of a morning or afternoon person. I can't stream late into the night. Like I can work and late into the night, but if you want me to be conversationally coherent, that's a different story. And it does take a little bit more effort to talk and edit at the same time. So that's kind of why I'm not going to do the late night ones too much anymore. I might do live streams of video games late at night, but not a project editing or creative. Do, do, do. And then the other thing that might be helping is I don't have any kind of distracting music on. Not that it's distracting to the viewers, but it was kind of distracting to me a little bit. Okay, so that's done. And that's the halfway point. And then we have this rapid succession of clips to do right there. So that's going to take the most time. But then all of this is going to be kind of downhill after this section. See this, every cut here is a different car. But they're pretty quick. So let's do this one. We might have to stack them, but we'll see. We shall see. Here's the little Yaris. I think this Yaris was in the other video. It's kind of funny because these videos were all taken very close together. It was about a week of driving, and we just kind of went all across the United States. And the reason for it was that one of my sisters was looking for colleges, so we just went all around, starting in California and then ending in New York. We just went from college to college, but we had a small time frame, a very small time frame, because my other sister had a meeting she had to get to back in Michigan. And that was kind of a bummer, because originally we planned for the trip to take about a month of travel, where we would go and stop and see things. So because my sister had that meeting that came up, we had to do the trip in about a week and a half. That's when I filmed it. It was a family road trip, and then I've been kind of working on it off and on for a while. I had to figure out how to do the time modulation, which was one problem, and then I had to figure out how to do frame blending, which was a big headache because I spent a lot of time researching on how to do it, and there's pretty much not a lot of programs that will allow you to do it. A media encoder from Adobe can kind of do it, but it doesn't make sense. And like I have media encoder, so that's how I was able to do the test ones. But media encoder takes about a week to process one of the clips. And then a lot of times it will fail. It was about 60% of the time. It would get to like 70% of the video file, and then it would fail. And so I was like, And so like when it's taking a week to do each one, that's not really good. And then kind of the bummer about it was that on top of that, like watching the resources, Media Encoder didn't take advantage of like the CPU or a lot of the RAM. It just kind of stuck there. It was stuck around like 40% of the processing power. And so it's like, it's not even using the full computer and it's still taking a week to process. So that was pretty annoying. And so I couldn't do that. So then what I ended up doing was I wrote my own program to take the frames and blend them together. So how it does that is it takes FFmpeg, then it has it export the frames as images, and then it takes what I do is I have it combine 4 images at a time. So it just combines them by changing the opacity. And so we'll change it to like, if there's 4, it will make it, each photo is around like 25% clear. And that's how it sandwiches them together. And so then it will go through and do that, and then it still took a long time. It took like 2 days per video clip. And then what I did was I added multi-threading to it. So instead of doing one set of 4 images at a time, I would have it do like 64 sets of 4 at a time. And so that really, the processor would go to, like 100%. And instead of taking 2 days to process, it would take about an hour. And so that's the program I use to, it's my own program, that's the one I use to do the frame blending. We have this next one. So hopefully I get the class that I need. I'm split 50-50. I'm okay with taking it next year, but I would also like to be done. So if I only have to do 2 more months of school, I'm okay with doing that right now. And but I can't wait to be finished, especially with this semester, because like I said before, it's gonna be downhill. Like everything's gonna be a lot more easier. So I think, You guys will have to remind me if I start complaining after the next semester starts. I had not a nightmare, but like an uncomfortable dream. Again, it was because I found in my dream I found an extra class I had to take to graduate, and it was accounting. And I was like, no, because I took the accounting class before. I was doing fine, went to take the final exam, and I was like really sick at this time. And this was before we found out what my problem was. It was just I was getting all these welts that turned out to be hives. My lips were swelling up and everything. It just didn't make sense. And my mom and I kind of figured out, well, maybe it's something I'm eating, but I kept a food journal, and I still was, getting sick, and it didn't really make sense because it was like I have soup, I get sick, I have salad, I get sick, I have like not a cheeseburger. I'm vegetarian, so it's like a veggie burger, but I get sick, and so it was during that period that I was getting really sick, and so for the last day of accounting class, the teacher is like, you don't have to do the final tonight, but you can do it up to a week after class completes. And then she was like, but if you have a problem with it, you can't retake it. And I was like, oh no. And so this is before I had high-speed internet, and so the only internet I had was the 3G connection from my iPad, because I didn't have a smartphone at the time. And so I was taking the test. I got 90% of the way through, and then the browser crashed. And I was like, no. So because the browser crashed, it saved none of my answers. And so essentially the final exam said, I didn't do it. I answered nothing. And so that kind of bombed my score. I was like, oh. So if I have to do this class, it will have to be, I have to take it over again. Which is like a joke. I mean, it's okay because I know everything that's in the class, but I don't want to like see the teacher again. And then there was something else. Oh, so the dream last night that was kind of uncomfortable was about that. It was just, I show up for class, and then I'm there, and of course I have no pants. I'm like, oh no, how am I going to get out of this without anybody seeing me? So it was like a really embarrassing dream. But that's what happened last night. So I was getting really stressed out. And then the first thing I did when I woke up was I went and checked my email from the teacher, and still didn't get a reply back. So I'm like, oh no. Maybe he found something in my transcripts that's like really bad. There shouldn't be anything really bad. But yeah, still waiting. And the spring semester starts it starts like the 5th of May. I have to remember to save. I'm gonna have to overlap this a little bit. Not much. Do. And then I had yesterday was really beautiful. It was sunny. It was really warm. It was about 60 degrees, which is like frying for me. Over the winter, our pipes broke, and so we had no heat or any water in our house, and the pipes are still broken, but we get water to the garage, so we're able to get some water that way. And yeah, so we're used to like 30-degree weather, like being 30 degrees in the house, really cold. And so even when it went up to 40, we're sweating, we're in t-shirts. It's like, this is way too hot. So I don't know how I'm gonna survive summer. It gets hot. It gets into the 90s, and it occasionally gets into like the hundreds, but it's extremely humid. Like when I'm in California, it's okay. Like I can easily stand like 110 degrees. That is like no problem. But just 80 degrees in Michigan, it's extremely humid, and that just kills you. No, it kills me. I mean, it's nice to be like out swimming at a lake or something, but if you're just like doing work outside, I mean, you just sweat to death because it's like you're working in a sauna. Oh, and then the other things I was doing, I'm testing out this new kind of feature. It's a weird workaround, but I was able to get a feed, an RSS feed, to work on the Photation store. And so I was kind of making extra blog posts so that it makes the Photation store more dynamic, and so it changes like every 12 hours. There's new content in it, and so I was having problems getting my blog to work because my blog is with Squarespace, and they have a really good RSS feeder for blogs and products, but for whatever reason it wasn't working on the store, which I use SmugMug. And finally I was able to, well, the workaround I found was that my Squarespace site, it publishes to Facebook and Pinterest and what's it called? Facebook, Pinterest, and Tumblr. And so what I was actually able to do was I was able to get the Tumblr RSS feed, and that feed worked for that feed worked for the store. So the way it works is my website publishes to Tumblr, and then the Tumblr feed goes to the store. So it's a weird workaround, but it works. So what's nice is I can have content from the blog, and then it will link to other sections of the store or other photographs from the store. So it's constantly bringing something new and makes the website more dynamic. But then in addition to that, I can also have posts that link to the videos and other things. So that part was nice redesigning. And I was working on the blogs anyway for Phootations.com. If you want to check it out, it's PHOTATIONS.com. It's like photo and animation combined. And already there's 3 blogs that are updating daily, so there's always new photographic content. And I'm going to start adding more. I am working on one additional project. I'm working on the nature blog, so that one's getting a ton more posts. And then this video clip, it's the only one I'm going to edit today. It'll take too long to edit the second one. And I have to go back to study. What I did was I was studying this morning, then I studied in the afternoon. Well, I took a small break, so it wasn't really a break, because I was still working. But after this, I'm going to go study some more. I'm not really cramming. Most of it is stuff I know. But the teacher for this class phrases things really weird. And so a lot of it is like stuff we never went over, but it's in the book. So a lot of it is just rereading the different definitions in the book, even though we didn't go over it in class and everything. And so I'm hoping that tomorrow is the last class, because what we're doing is we're taking the exam a week earlier than in the syllabus. And hopefully once we do the final, there will be nothing left for us to do. When the teacher gave us the choice of taking the exam a week early, he was like, we can do one more week where we do PowerPoints for the robot, or we can do the final exam. So I'm hoping it was an or statement and not an and statement, because I would be bummed if we had to do a PowerPoint after we do the final. I mean, it'll be okay and easy, but that's kind of something some of the teachers complain about is, and it's funny because the teachers are complaining about other teachers that do it, but a lot of the teachers will have all these group projects, and then you have to do all these presentations. And so I had this one, it was in a software class, A plus software, what is the word? Certification. And she was like complaining. She's like, I hear from students all the time that they have to do all this public speaking in class. And she was like, That's not what these programming classes are supposed to be for. It should be for uh, just learning how to program. And it's funny because one, I agree with her, and two, uh, there is an entire class that's dedicated uh, for all computer degrees. It's required where you have to do. It's a public speaking class where you have to do presentations. It's just nonstop. You do group work, you do presentations, and then you work in a call center, and then you work at a help desk, and then at the end, there's this auditorium, and the teacher invites every student from every technology class, and you have to come and do your presentation in this giant auditorium. And so I did it, and it was funny because every class after that, the teachers still have students doing a lot of group presentations. And it's like, why? I had one teacher that went to the she went to the film department of the school, and she had them come with their cameras and everything to film us because we were going to be put on YouTube doing our project. And I was just like, I don't want this. I don't want to be stuck on YouTube for presentation. And so luckily, once the film students came to do it, their equipment didn't work and they forgot their microphone, and they couldn't figure out how to film everyone. So I was very lucky, and that ended up being canceled. We still had to do the presentation, but did not did not have to what is the word? Did not have to be publicly shamed on YouTube. Okay, we're almost done. I'm gonna take a short break. I'll be right back. I'll play it from the beginning again, and then you guys can watch it. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And going to... We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We only have 5 more clips to edit over. Excuse me. So here we go. I remember to save. Should have saved before I left. But that's not gonna happen. I have to go to the post office a couple of times. I'm not ready now. Well, I might be able to do it after the stream. But my sister's birthday is coming up. It's kind of a funny story. But she was like, I have to have this picture of Moss. She didn't say for her birthday, but I was like, okay. So I showed her on the photography store, my photography store, and she was like, yeah, I like those photos of Moss, but they're not the ones I'm looking for. And I was like, okay. And she's like, I'll pay you to go find Moss and take pictures of it. So I was like, okay, yeah, right. And I went and I found some photos of Moss. It was really funny because what ended up happening is a tree fell and it was blocking our driveway. And on the tree branch, it was a big branch, it was just full of all this moss and everything. So I was like, perfect. So I took like 40 photos of different angles and different pieces of bark and everywhere with the moss. So then I sent her a link to them. She was like, she picked 2 that she really liked. And it's just kind of funny because the 2 that she picked, they're okay images of moss, but there's so many pictures that were like so much better. And I was like, why would you pick these 2? I mean, they're fine, but it was just like, they're not the best ones. And so, hey, you guys, I think this is the Yaris I was editing before. And anyway, she picked it and she was like, oh, I'll pay you later. I was like, And so for her birthday, I printed the photo and I framed it. So I have to send it to her. And it's larger. It's 13 by 19, which is, it's bigger. It's on the larger side. But she said she wanted a big one to hang up, which I don't know if she's going to hang it up. She has her dorm and stuff, but we'll see. But I have to mail it to her, even though I'm seeing her in a couple of weeks. Like, I'll see her for her birthday. And I'm flying with carry-on only, and I won't be able to take it with me. So I have to mail it to her. And like, I've had it packed up and ready to go, but I haven't been able to make it to the post office. So I'm going to label it, put her address on it, and then send it out. Hopefully today, but maybe tomorrow. We'll see. So that's what I'm going to be doing later tonight. I mean, like I said, it's all packaged up. And it's funny because I had it printed with the company I used to do my photographs. And I ordered it. It came about a week later. It came on time. And when they said they were going to ship it, and I was really happy with the quality. But they shipped it in like this kind of fancy box, and I was like, well, this was a lot of space for this box, for the image. I mean, the image fits flat in it. It's padded, and the image actually is wrapped, and so I was able to fit. I framed it. I had the frame already, which is why I did the 13 by 19 size, and I framed it, and then I just put it back in the box. So I'm gonna put the label on it and resend it and reuse the box. So I got really lucky there because I thought, oh, I had to go find an extra box that fits the frame and the photo in and everything. Okay. So we're done with that. Only a few more to go. And then that will be it for this live stream. I'll play it one more time all the way through so we can see what we've done. Alright, I only have 3 more. Maybe 2 more. I don't think this... Yeah, we only have 2 more. Okay. So let's finish this up. This one's kind of a more complicated one. But again, because it's not so much motion, it's it's easier to animate, even though I had to animate for a longer clip. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it sounds like engines taking off. The Linux box that's rendering Project Newfoundland, it just switched from rendering to encoding, and the encoding takes up. It doesn't matter what processor you have. Encoding takes up 100% of the processor. Not so much RAM, just it's extremely computationally intense. And so whatever processor you have, it could always have more. And so that's kind of how I know, because I don't have a monitor connected to it, but it's just like, oh, switching from rendering to encoding. It's almost done. The encoding is the final step before it's finished. And then maybe I lied. Maybe there's 2 more cars now. No, that's weird. Hold on, I'm gonna play this section for a little while. Oh, okay. I understand what's happened. So then there's this car. So yeah, there's 2 more cars, including this one. And they'll be easier. The amount of time I have to do it's less. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to tell you people, but nothing's coming to mind. Kind of the last things that are on the to-do list are write Project Newfoundland, episode 4, and then I have to actually finish editing live to tape. But the live to tape part is easy because I finished the audio and I finished doing essentially what I'm doing now for story time. And so for live to tape, I just have to combine the audio and video. There's no more editing that I really have to do. I mean, I have to put the titles in, and like this is like LCD Productions and live to tape, but other than that, there's not a lot. And then it's kind of the same for Project Newfoundland. It's just I have to write it. And so the good news is I'm combining 2 episodes together. One of the episodes was really short. It ended up being only 5 minutes long. And I was like, we can't have a 5-minute long episode. So I combined it with another one. So it's about 15 minutes long. And so that would be a lot easier to write for. Episode 3 was one of the longest episodes. It was 30 minutes. And so that was a lot I had to write. It was over 4,000 words of research and writing. I mean, it was more than 4,000 words of research, but I had to combine it down to 4,000 words. So that was a process. And then I keep telling myself, I have to start doing these projects at the beginning of the month, which I do. I start editing them at the beginning of the month, but I keep telling myself I have to write and record the audio at the beginning of the month, and so far I haven't really been able to do that. I used to be really ahead with all the content, and on Patreon. On Patreon, everything comes there first still, but I used to have like one episode kind of ready, ready and waiting, and now I don't have it. Now each episode I make that goes to Patreon, that's the one I've been working on, the newest. So I'm trying to get back up to a queue. And what happened was the pipes broke in the house and everything, so that took up a lot of time, and so that's how I got not behind schedule, but now I have no room to wiggle around. Okay, so we're done. We're gonna go through and watch it one more time. Make it bigger so we can see more. There we go. And here we go. So this is the beginning. I'm just gonna tell everyone what I'm doing again. This is a project for Live to Tape. I do kind of time-lapse photography. It's really time-lapse video, but it's of the landscape traveling around, and I used a camera. This one's mounted on the top of a car. And so what I do is I animate the speed changes. So it will go from real time, which it was just doing. It was doing, regular video speed, and then it speeds up to 2 times as fast or 4 times, and sometimes it goes up to 8 times speed. And the reason why I speed it up is because it's a way I can edit it seamlessly, so that things that are boring and there's not much to look at, kind of like right now, I speed it up, and then once there's something interesting to look at while I'm driving. I slow it down, and sometimes I go down to real time, so it takes like 30 or 40 seconds to view the landscape, and then occasionally I'll go down a little bit slower, and so then what that does is it kind of goes into like simulated slow motion. And so yeah, so this was a trip going around the United States, and I got a lot of good video of these really scenic landscapes. And so for this, what I'm editing for is, this one's not for story time. Story time is a video project that Live to Tape does, where I tell classic stories from around the world while going through this time-lapsed landscape scenes. And so that's story time. And the thing that makes it story time is I'm telling the story, and it's while traveling around. But what this project is, and it doesn't have a name yet, I'm thinking about calling it the Sunday Drive or Sunday Driving, and it's going to be longer. Instead of doing one video clip per episode, which is what Storytime does, it's going to be the entire day's worth of driving. So for this day, we started off in Los Angeles, and then we're driving up. This is I-5 in California, so it's the farmland between Los Angeles and really going up to like Sacramento, and I don't think it's Sacramento, going up to San Francisco and to Northern California. So the first like 3 or 4 clips is this I-5 and this farmland. And so I already edited one clip the other day, and so this is clip number 2. So we have 2 more clips of editing this farmland, and then for the rest of the day, for the evening and sunset, it's traveling along Northern California, and then at the end of the day, I believe, it goes into Oregon. And so for the final like 3 video clips we're going through, there's the scenery of the mountains and the forest, and the sunset in the mountains, and so it's going to get a lot more scenic as time goes on. But again, this is clip 2, and then we have 2 more clips after this of editing the farmland. And so then going back to what the Sunday Drive is, it's going to be a collection of the day's video clips. So it's going to be about 30 minutes, the first episode of the Sunday Drive. And it's just going to be, driving along. I'm going to go and record some extra sound effects of driving and everything. And so it's going to be a very relaxing video where you can just sit and watch and kind of fall asleep, or just listen to the sounds, or view the landscape as it's driving by. It's meant very much to be like watching a screensaver or a movie image. It's supposed to be very kind of hypnotic and relaxing. And so that's what the Sunday Drive is going to be like. And the first episode I kind of timed it out. It looks like it's going to be around 25 to 30 minutes. But like episode 2, and so when I get to it, looks like it's going to be considerably longer. And so the Sunday Drive is going to go first to Patreon, and it'll release sometime in May. Not at the beginning of May, probably towards the middle of May, like May 12th or 15th. And then it's not going to be a monthly series. It might come out once every 2 months. And then after it's been up on Patreon for a month, it will go to publicly to Live to Tape, and you can check that out at livetotape.com or on the YouTube channel. and I have the link in my about page on Twitch. So yeah, so this is driving again in California. Yeah, we're getting towards the end. It's about 3 minutes and 18 minutes. 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Now it's 3 minutes and 22 seconds. And it's about 4 minutes long. So we're getting close to the end. And then yeah, this is the final clip I'm going to be editing today. After the stream, I'm going to start the rerun, and it's going to be the Mass Effect Let's Play. And there's been some confusion. When I say it's a Let's Play, that means it's not live. The Let's Plays are recorded live to tape, and then they're edited a little bit. But it's not broadcast live. It's not live gameplay. And so it is edited for content a little bit. But they're long. They're about 2 hours to 2.5 hours long each. And so it's going to be kind of a marathon of Mass Effect, where it's going to be episodes 3 through episodes 8. And that's going to be streaming for the rest of the evening into the night. And so that's like 20 hours of rerun that's going to be playing. And then tomorrow is more creative, and it's the actual creative day. And so I'll be streaming in the afternoon, probably around 4. If I'm going to live stream, I might not live stream tomorrow. It depends. Depends on what I have to do. Usually I save Wednesdays for doing errands, but if I'm not live streaming, there is still going to be the creative stream, which is a collection of videos from Flotations, where it's animated photography, and then there's going to be the documentaries also from Flotations, which is Project Newfoundland, and then Live to Tape Storytime is going to be playing. So it's a huge marathon of creative content and photography, and a lot of travel and landscape work. And so that will be happening tomorrow for sure, but there might be a live stream squeezed in. So that was the video, and played all the way through. Let me put this back to normal. And gotta remember to save. So thanks everyone for coming out. This has been Thumbs United streaming for live to tape, doing live to tape projects. Should be back tomorrow, but we'll see. Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye.